welcome to the Lighthouse. My name is Mari Cortano, and today I'm here with Zubeir Amani, who is going to share with us his incredible story. He was paralyzed at 17 years old, and today he's going to share with us how that experience changed his life and how he navigated it. So without further ado, Zubeir, welcome.
First of all, I'd like to appreciate the work that you do, having a platform where you allow people to share their stories for others to be inspired is so amazing. So thank you for what you're doing.
It's my joy, and it's my privilege to be here as someone who has encountered so many challenges and overcame them, to where, like the lighthouse is a space where we can share the light of awareness for people who are navigating, storms of life, right? So this is what this space is about.
Exactly.
So I know you have been through something very challenging at a very young age. You were just 17, right, when it happened. But before we go there, why don't you walk us a little bit through your childhood? Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, or you can also do that at the end. But walk us a little bit through your childhood and up to that moment when you had this incredible health crisis, I would call it.
So I had a very interesting childhood. Number one is that my parents had a very big influence on my childhood. My father is from the military, and he was kind of very strict when I was young. Mm-hmm. So I really had a very strict childhood since I was a kid. So the way my father brought me up is that, number one, he didn't allow us to do anything or to watch anything which wasn't important to him. Mm-hmm. So from the things we watch and the foods we eat, everything must be beneficial or must be important. So I didn't have time to play video games or watch movies and all that. So I had plenty of time to do kind of constructive things. So I'll play with my toys, I'll break them up, I'll try and see what's going on inside. I'll watch documentaries with my dad, I'll watch Discovery Science and National Geographic. That's when I kind of got interested in how things work in the inside. And slowly I got introduced into how human beings work in the inside. So how our minds function, how we digest food, and all these small aspects and big aspects about how humans function, how we are. So slowly by slowly, the time I got my phone, I started watching the same things in YouTube and all that. So the first person I think who I came across that kind of went deeply into how humans being function is Joe Dispenza. So he was talking about neuroplasticity and how the brains work and that you can exactly and all that. So I continued watching this person, and from there, I took some of his books. The next person was Bob Proctor, right, who was preaching the book Think and Grow Rich. So I picked the book and I read it, and I found out this space or this field of self-growth and personal development so much interesting. Now I got so involved into studying motivation and success and positivity and how our mindsets work and all that. So after this, I could use that to help my friends. And even in school, I'll give small motivational talks here and there, helping my friends, have timetable, time management, being productive, all things to do with success.
So just a quick question. This happened before the life crisis, right? This was just what you were doing before that happened. So you were into personal development and this kind of...
Yeah, exactly. Mainly motivation, and giving people some light of hope that they can do it, things to do with time management, productivity, and all these small aspects that make up motivation.
Okay, great. And what happened? What happened then?
So around 2019, I was so much heavily playing basketball. I was so passionate about it. It's something that I really loved about. So I was playing basketball here and there. So by the end of the day, I'll get a bit of back pain. So the back pains will come there at the end of my day when I'm going to sleep. So I'll sleep. Then in the morning, the back pains will not be there. So I'll say, maybe maybe I was tired. Maybe I played so hard, right? But it continued day by day. And sometimes I'll sleep, and in the morning, the pain is still there, right? and I'll go on through the day. I'll take some painkillers, it will disappear, and then it will come back. So it continued for this time until I could not sit for like maybe 2 hours in class. I'll have to like stretch. Maybe when I'm sleeping, let's say I sleep for like 8 hours, I'll get the back pains. I'll have to sleep less. Maybe if I sleep less, I get the pains again. Then it started affecting how I was playing and I was doing sports. So I could not like jump when I'm, playing the basketball. I'm like, whoa, this is getting serious.
Yes. It was
Then
restricting you.
exactly, it was restricting me. So one time it was so painful. I was forcing myself to go to sleep. So at that night, I remember I didn't have I slept for like 2, 3 hours because I was just turning. After like 30 minutes, I'll sit in bed, just trying to manage the pain itself. Okay. So one morning, I was laying back in bed, and then a shock wave of pain came through my back, and it went straight from my back down to my legs, up to my head and to my hands, and I felt burning pain throughout my body. And it was like every single nerve of my body was being ripped off, and like hot fire was on every inch of my nerve, and I could not even move an inch of my body. And then I tried to stand up. I can't talk. Then I had my friend beside me, and he was watching me. Zubeir, what's wrong? I'm telling him, pain, my back. And at the time, tears are coming out, and they carried me. So they carried me. My dad was called, came to pick me, and I was rushed to the hospital, the emergency area. Then when I reached there, at the time, I cannot even know what's going on because I can't even think clearly at the time. So I was laid in bed. Doctors, nurses came in. They started putting clips in my hand to give me painkillers so that the pain can come down, then ask me what is going on. But they're putting on those rushes of painkillers, very strong painkillers. Like after 30 minutes, I'm still in pain. I'm still in pain. The nurses are like, what? This painkiller is so strong, it has to work in him, but the guy is not getting better.
Wow.
So they continued adding the doses of the painkillers. And at least like after 2 hours, pain came a little bit low. Now I could talk. I'm like, what's happening? What's wrong? I'm like, my back is paining, my whole body. Oh, my joints, I can't move any part of my body. Like, what happened? Have you fallen down? No. Were you knocked? No. What happened? I don't know what happened.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I was still lying in bed. So they started doing like the scans. So they did X-ray, they did MRI, they did blood scans, they did CT scans. Every square inch of my body was scanned, but they could not find anything. So this is like in the afternoon. So like till 8, 9 p.m. I was still doing the scans. And I'm like, okay, this guy, we can't see anything wrong with him. How are we going to handle this situation? And the only thing they could do is just give painkillers because they don't know what's the problem with me. So it's just being I had like 3 drips, my hand here, 2 here, and 1 here. All of them were just drips and nutrients and
So
water.
they were just managing the pain, and they were just
Managing the
giving you
pain.
some nutrients to keep you
Exactly. Yeah, because I could not even eat. I could not chew. I'm just sitting there. Yeah. I remember the first 2 nights. The first night I remember, I stayed awake, eyes open, zero sleep till 4 a.m. in the morning.
What was going on through your mind as a 17 years old at that time, laying in that hospital bed with your eyes wide open?
First, I was like, am I dying? Like, is this it? Like, is death coming to me? What's happening? We all know that when you have pain or when you have, this kind of any ailment, when you go to hospital, it must be found, right? But you're coming to a hospital, one of the best hospitals. Every scan is being done, the best doctors, and they're like, hey, we are seeing nothing. Yeah, exactly. So you have this feeling of like, oh, am I dying here? What's happening? No. So that time, the thoughts are coming to me is like, am I dying? Am I going to die? Is this it? And it's just ringing on my head, ringing on my head, ringing on my head. So the next day when the doctor came, they're like, okay, we'll have to even medicate you onto sleeping because if you don't sleep, you're gonna go mad. right? Yeah,
Yes.
it's unhealthy, and yeah, it's going to make the matters worse. So like the next night, I said like, they told me if you stay like till 1 a.m., ring the bell, the nurse will come and he will inject you for you to sleep. And that's what happened. It reached 2 a.m. I'm still wide awake, zero sleep at that time. So yeah, I rang the bell, the nurse came, he injected me, and I slept for like for 5 hours. Remember this time, I'm still laying in bed. I cannot move an inch of my body.
You're paralyzed completely.
Exactly. So for like 10 days straight, I was laying in bed. So I could not sit, could not
10
sit
days.
to eat. 10 days straight, I was lying in bed. After the 5 days, at least I could turn my body, but I could not walk. I could not like sit. I could not move. Like my hands, I lift them all along. I could not do anything. So after that, they were like, okay, we are not seeing anything. Now, the only way to help you will have to, introduce some physiotherapy. So the therapist will come like and like they'll massage backs. At the time I was on medication for the muscles to relax the back muscles for me to have movements again. Nerve medication to numb the nerves so that I can't feel the pain. Remember, when you numb the nerves, you can't feel yourself. So after I was discharged, so I was just continuing with the medication and physiotherapy. So like 2 3 months, at least I got back to, I could now walk, at least I could sit properly. I could only sit like for 40 minutes. I could not stand for like 20 minutes. That was my new life. So I left playing, basketball and any sport. I could not exercise. So after like 2 3 months, the attack came again.
Wow.
The attack came again the second time.
So you were getting better, slightly better.
Slightly better, exactly. Then at the same time, I was lying in bed in the morning, the attack came again. When the rush of pain comes, the whole body, I was rushed again to the hospital. Same procedures, same scans, same things, nothing is being seen. Then the third time it happened again. Being rushed to the hospital 3 times, right? I got the attacks 3 times. This is in a period of around 8 9 months. So the third time is when I was there with my dad and I was about to be discharged so that I can be, doing my home medication and coming for physiotherapy. The doctor called my dad and me and he said, hey, we'll have to discharge you and your son because there is nothing more we can do for him.
So what happened? How did you feel when you heard that? What did your dad say?
My dad, I think because, my dad is a bit stoic. I can say that. Yeah, he's a bit stoic. Maybe saying because he's in the military, he has seen a lot, but he's a bit stoic. But to me, I felt like a stab straight in the heart. Like, okay, this is it. This is it.
You lost hope.
The first time, yeah, I just lost hope. I'm like, okay, I'm done here. Okay, this is my last moments. I'm like, because I've come here, seen the best doctors, done every single scan, and they are saying they can't help me. The third time I came to the hospital, actually, I was clinically diagnosed as depressed. Yeah, a psychiatrist came. Psychiatrist came at the time. Yeah, and he diagnosed me with depression and even gave me antidepressant for like 3 months straight. Go take them for 3 months, then come back for a review. So when I was being discharged at that moment, I'm like, okay, this is it. Then a turning point came about 2 3 days later when some thoughts came to me. And I'm like, okay, I've been discharged and they say they can't help me. So what's next? Then a thought just came and it's like, they can't help you, but now you have to help yourself.
So you had that impulse, that thought came through your mind.
Exactly, that impulse, yeah, came to me. Okay, they can't help you. Now you have to help yourself. And I can say that was a bit of the light of hope or the door opening into now the healing journey of how I recovered.
Yeah. And what happened then? So you lost hope, you went home, you were thinking and you just decided, you felt like, I'm not going to give up, basically.
Exactly.
right? Something inside of
Yeah,
you told you that you can heal yourself. So it doesn't mean just because they can't help you, you can't help yourself.
exactly.
And what did you do? So how did you help yourself? Well, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're still here to tell the story. You're here to tell the story. So
Yeah.
what did you do? What happened?
So from then on, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna research every single book, every single thing under the sun to help me get better. So from there, I researched who are the top experts, who are the top speakers, what are the top books, who are the best people in this earth who are creating, who are changing people's lives, have these transformation strategies and knowledge and tools that have helped other people and are proven to work that I can now go and gather and now try and help myself. That's when I went to like read books about psychology, about human physiology, about epigenetics, about how emotional beings, about people who have cured diseases which were maybe termed as terminal, right? And after gathering all this knowledge and applying to myself, about 5, 6 months later, I got better and I completely hit myself. The back pain went away. I had lost like 20 pounds, I gained them back. I was back to exercising. Yeah,
In six
I
months.
lost
That's
a lot of weight.
amazing. So would
Exactly.
you like to share like a few things that you did? Because it's all amazing. I know you share with us like the result, but what did you actually do? So when you were reading, what did you get from these books? How did you apply this information that
So,
helped you heal yourself?
so maybe I can start in the beginning in that when I was going through these moments in the hospital, I was even suicidal. I was thinking, should I like take my life, just finish this thing because the pain was so much.
Oh, did you
I'm like,
feel so you've had suicide thoughts?
exactly, because I had dreams. I'm like, should I just, like taking my life was like just to pull a drip away and just let my, me bleed into death. I'm like, should I be doing this? And then I think at those moments is when I had my parents will come into my mind. And I'm like, okay, if I do this, what will my dad and my mom feel? How will I leave them? They'll be suffering here. What pain will I cause to my mom? Look at what my mom has done for me. She has raised me. She has paid school fees for me. She had shown all the love for me. Look at what my dad is doing. So at those moments, thoughts of my parents came to me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, no. And I'm like, no. If I do this, I'll be doing myself and my parents a bigger damage than me, continuing going through this. So I'm like, okay, I can do it.
So
I'll do this for my
you
parents.
paused. Wow, that's such a
So I
powerful
paused.
thing because
I
when
paused.
you go through that dark moment, dark night of the soul, as they call it, and I can share my own experience that when I feared that that was my last moment, I can resonate with the feeling of, I didn't think of suicide, of course, but I thought that was it for me. You, it's interesting that you mentioned the same, that is your family and the people that you love the most are the ones that come to you in that moment. And so
Exactly.
with you, it's what kept you going, I would say.
Going, yeah. So I
Wonderful.
think, yeah, the first step was having a bigger reason than the challenge I was going through. That was a very key moment, right? Having a
Yes.
bigger why. Yeah, they say a bigger the why can overcome any what.
So that means that for you, the why in that moment was the love of your family and not wanting to burden them. But was there anything else other than that? Do you have brothers, Zubeir, or sister?
Yeah, I have brothers. Yeah, I have brother and sister.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So now I think we can say like that was the first step is having a bigger why. Then now the second step becoming like me taking the responsibility of now taking care of myself, right? Because many of us fall into the trap of I could have blamed the doctors. I say, okay, it's now I'm blaming the doctors. They didn't find the cure for me. They didn't find what's wrong for me. They're not experts or they're not. But I didn't choose to do that. I pointed the finger to myself and I said, okay, I'm responsible for my own life, and now I have to do something. So that was the second thing I can say is, I took responsibility for my own self, for my own health, and for my own life.
Mm. Yes.
So as I was reading these books, yeah, as I was reading these books, I I found the importance number one of like having a strong belief. because I could have not made the decision to find ways to heal myself either if I didn't believe I could heal, right? And you have 100 articles and researches showing how beliefs are so important. There was this important study about belief where this researcher went on and studied 100 people who were diagnosed with terminal cancers, and they survived 12 years later. Not one, not two, but 12 years later, they survived. 100 people, 100 persons. So across all these people, he found that all of them were doing different things, from chemotherapy to meditation, acupuncture and yoga, and all these different, things to help themselves. But one commonality among them is that they believed they could heal, right? They have a strong belief that they could heal, right? So I think that really played a very important role in that I believe that I am going to heal, right? I am going to heal.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And what is the practical thing, or what is one practical thing that you do? Of course, you do believe it, and then the belief turns into some sort of action, right?
Yeah,
So what actions did you do, if you like to share with our audience, with our listeners? What did you actually do? Was it meditation? Was it journaling? Was it self-reflection? What happened? What did you find that was the problem?
So I was coming to that.
Yes.
So one of the things is that I found that a lot of us, or a lot of people who have physical pains or physical symptoms, physical illnesses, are actually caused by emotional pains inside ourselves, but they manifest themselves as physical pain. Yes. Actually, there's a study that shows 70% of every person who visits a doctor has physical pain, but it's being caused by emotional pain. So I now focused on what is the emotional root causing all this. And I found that there are two things in myself, right? And number one was, as I was reflecting back on my childhood and how I was raised, I had some emotional needs that weren't met. One of the needs that I found which was not met as a child was the need for unconditional love, right? The need to feel loved and to feel embraced and to be paid attention to as a kid. But with our parents and with the society right now, parents are busy with work, they're busy with other issues that they're dealing with to take care of you. But for you as a child, you don't see all that. What you want is, I want your attention and I want your love, exactly. So I formed the belief in myself that I am not lovable enough and I'm not worthy, deserving of my parents' love. So I had to do things that could get me my parents' attention and love.
Yes.
And this piled up into becoming that problem, because in retrospect right now, as I was thinking of that time, I really felt good when I was sick because of the attention I was getting from my parents. I was with my dad every single moment. My mom will call, she will want to talk to me. She would call like 5 times a day just to know, hey, how's my son doing? Actually, it was so tough for my mom. Even sometimes she not to go to work because of the stress of worry of how I'm doing, because she will call, she can't talk to me, I cannot talk, and she wants to know how I'm doing. And every time she calls, my dad answers, okay, Zubeir is fine. But she wants to hear, okay, how is, I want to talk to him, right? I can't even speak. I can't talk at those moments. So it was so hard for my mom. But right now, as I'm thinking, myself, that time I was like, wow, okay, I love this love. I love the attention, right?
It's interesting. It's so incredible how we have this psycho-emotional link. And I have actually read many books on this as well. And it's very true that unconsciously, we never do this intentionally. It never happens intentionally. But sometimes illnesses is a way of getting attention. People develop illnesses in order to get attention from those people that they need. And this is what it seemed that happened to you in your situation. And it's beautiful, not only that you were so young at the time, but you had now, of course, going back and working on yourself, you have had the wisdom and the open mind and heart to actually look at these things and realize that, oh my God, I was doing that. And I actually enjoyed, even though I was in pain, you were in pain, you enjoyed those moments because that's when your parents were close to you. And I'm so sure that so many people can relate to this.
Exactly. It's okay. If the secondary gain is greater than the primary pain, the body will work on to retain the primary pain because of the secondary gain that it's getting, right?
Yes, there is
Even
always a
sometimes
benefit.
the benefit, exactly. And even sometimes you'll find that people may have like true physical pains, right? But if they get true physical pains and after that there is a secondary gain, the brain will now work on to keep that disease going on because of the secondary gain being gotten by that primary pain. So that was it. And from there, I had to reconcile the fact that I can meet my own needs of being loved and attention, right?
So
Because
how
now
did you do that? How did you do that? As a 17, 18 years old, by that time, you're obviously a year passed by as you were healing, right? From the time that it happened. How did you give that attention that you needed from your parents? How did you offer that to yourself?
so the basic one is first to understand in that you don't need the parents' love and attention to fill you because you think you have a void inside yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we are all created perfect and we're all created whole, right? And
Yes.
because of that young age, right, you made the conclusion that your parents don't love you enough or don't give you enough attention. Now you ain't lovable enough. That is not true.
Our parents don't give us enough attention and we think it's us, but really it's never us. It's just things are as they are. And our parents, I don't think they always, at least in most cases, they don't intend to neglect their children. Exactly. They're doing their best. In my experience as well, they're doing their best to take care of us. And back in the days, people were just very focused on providing food, shelter, everything that is needed, and they focused less on the physical contact, on the hugs, on the encouragement. So that's why most of us have developed this belief that maybe we're not good enough, so that's why our parents don't give us enough attention because it's something wrong with us. But that's never the case. And in your case, as you grew up and this thing happened, you realize that there is a different story, and you shifted. You worked on yourself, you worked on your mental perceptions, and as a result, also your body shifted, didn't it? Your body healed, exactly. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, second, I redirected the kind of love and attention that I needed. So that time I was doing speaking, right? So I said, okay, I'll need other people's attention and love, but as a way of now expressing myself, not filling my void, now expressing myself. Because I was a speaker, I was giving motivational talks at that time, right? And now still I'm so eager to want to help people, and add value to their lives. So now the kind of attention that I need isn't to fill my void, but as a way of offering value and giving value and helping other people's lives. So apart from doing the mental shift and the mental belief from, me not being able to being lovable, I also added another way to kind of take advantage of my need for love and attention, in that no, attention now that I need is to add value to people's lives, to transform people's lives, right? To give talks, and for people to benefit, right? And even to heal their journeys and to share my story. So that was, I kind of took advantage, right, of the attention that I was wanting to fill my void. And it was now no longer about filling my void, but about other people, about adding value to their lives. Right?
So you were giving from a full cup. You were not giving to get something because you didn't feel fulfilled, as opposed, this is actually something we all need to also remember. Always remember when you do this work that you're not doing it to fulfill something that you don't have, but you are doing it because you are already fulfilled and overflowing, so you're overflowing to other people as well. And at the same time, you feel fulfilled, which is instant. Exactly. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Exactly. You can't give what you don't have, right? Exactly. Yeah, if you don't have love, you can't give love, right? If you don't have appreciation, you can't give. Exactly. All these things, you have to have them by ourselves before we give them to other people. And also, the second thing I realized, apart from the need of being loved and being, getting attention, is I had a lot of repressed anger. So I think from my strict dad, he kind of had control of everything I do. So I'm like, okay, I can't do this. When he tells me and commands me to do something for my betterment at the time, right? I feel like he is not giving me the freedom to express myself, because I could not do things that I wanted to do. I'll do things that he wanted me to do, right?
Mm.
So I'm like, I have no freedom. And at the same time, I don't have the freedom to express that this is what I want. And because I was angry of the decisions he made to me, controlling my life, and I could not express the anger, what happened? I suppressed it, right?
Yes, of
And
course.
with time, exactly, and with time, it accumulates to now expressing itself as these mental diseases, as these
Yeah, the
physical diseases.
fire you mentioned when you were talking, you said, I felt like fire was going through my body, everything was burning. So that's the anger burning inside.
Dr. Gabo Mate, if you know him, Dr. Gabo Mate is a researcher also on things to do with childhood development and addictions and things to do with emotional well-being. He has one saying, and he says that when you suppress your emotions, what you're doing is you're also suppressing your immune system, actually.
Yes, of course.
Exactly. And we say
Creating
it adds,
balances.
yeah, it's creating balances, and it now adds up to us forming these physical illnesses that we end up having in later in life, not knowing that it was caused by you repressing your anger 5, 10, 15, 20 years back.
Very true. Nobody really understands. Nobody does it intentionally. We do it as a coping mechanism. We do it to survive, to get by. Unfortunately, later on, our physical body will always reveal the truth. And this is what happens with all of us. Well, I'm really glad that you found a way through this, and today you're healthy, you're strong, you continue to inspire people, and you continue to do what you love. Did you ever had any pains or anything like that after you managed to completely heal?
Not really. I can't say like
You can't say. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's gone basically, right?
it's like
You
gone.
found
Yeah,
you
yeah.
found that inner balance, you worked with yourself, you found ways to suppress. So what did you do? One last question before I ask you something that I ask every guest. What did you do when you realized that you had that suppress? Of course, you realized it as you were working on yourself. And then
Yeah.
once you realized it, what happened? It kind of shifted. Did you do anything about it, like a particular exercise or a practice or anything like that? Or it just stopped?
So the practice of the anger, I can say number one is shifting the perspective of what anger is, as in what triggers anger to me from my father. So
Okay.
so I changed the perspective that what he did, he wasn't restricting me, but he did that for my betterment, right? He
Change your
told us no
perspective.
eating, exactly, no eating junk, you're eating healthy foods because he loves us, he wants us to be healthy, right?
Yes.
So I changed that shift in that, hey,
Mm.
he
Yes.
did that for our best and really loved us, right? So I didn't have any more anger on him because what he did was for the benefit of me, right? And
Yes,
also the second,
absolutely.
yeah. Then second thing I think is to relieve yourself of being responsible for other people's emotions, right? Especially as kids, we have this, I can say it's kind of reactive in that when our parents are angry, we also expect it to be angry, right? But it's about to, you have to draw that boundary in that I'm not kind of responsible for how my father feels, how my parents feel, right? And I am responsible for how I feel. Even if I do certain things that upset him, I'm not responsible for how he responds to that, right? I'm responsible for
Yes.
my own self. So
Yes.
also making that mental shift in that I'm not responsible for how other people feel, especially my parents at that time. I'm responsible for my own feelings, right? And that
Yeah.
breaks that reaction into always, falling into the emotions of anger when your parents get angry about what you do.
Yes.
So that was
Yes.
also very important.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's important because as children, we always tend to, when you are very little and your parents when you go put your toys away and they go, yay, bravo, well done, you put your toys away, and you're like 2 years old, and then you go and clean everything around just to get that repetitive reaction out of them. So as children, we grow up and we feel responsible for our parents' reactions or the way they respond to us. And as we grow up, we tend to, in a way, control their reaction towards us by our behavior. And so, yes, it makes sense that we sometimes feel responsible for people's reactions or our parents' reactions towards ourselves. So from sharing your story, it's incredible. Again, as I said to myself, like, you're just so very young and you managed to navigate this in a very, very, a way that turned out so good for you, and it helped you. And that was because you were open and you read and you were open to investigate and you didn't give up and you wanted to find out. You had the curiosity and you had the belief that I can heal myself and I'm not going to give up. And you were open enough not to blame your parents or to blame anything external, but to look within yourself to find the answers and to shift your perception. Because when you shift your perception, your mind, everything in your physical body also shifts. And you are exactly a proof of that. I wanted to ask you if there would be one thing, if there is anyone who may experience similar situations with yourself that could hear us right now, what message, what is it that you would tell them right now, today, from where you stand?
No pain, no difficulty is permanent, and everything is figure outable. No pain, no difficulty is permanent, and everything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable. There is an answer, there is a solution to whatever that you may be going through. If you think that you're in the darkest hole ever, there is a rope that is long enough to go down there and pull you out of that hole. I'm telling you, I'm speaking from experience, right? You just have to maintain that belief that I can get out of this hole. And then after that, be open to go and search for what can make me better. Or best nowadays, you have coaches, you have people like you and me who you can go to, right? And because they have experience and they have the knowledge, you can totally transform your life. Totally transform your life. So one is that no pain is permanent. And two, there is solution for whatever that you're going through. There is solution. There is no reason to give up. And I always say this from experience, is that if God didn't want you here, he would have taken you a long time ago.
Yes.
And then the second thing, God can never give you a test that is bigger than you. Never. Never. Right? You're always bigger than the test. You just have to rise to the occasion, right? You just have to make the bold step and rise to the occasion that, hey, I'm choosing to become bigger than my difficulties and than my challenges.
Wonderful, really beautiful. You gave me goosebumps. That one, that God never gives you something that is bigger than you. So that is wonderful. What a beautiful way to close this. So where people can find you, I'm going to put Zubeir details below this video so you can contact him. Feel free to contact him and get in touch with his work. He's very motivational. You see the energy is beautiful. So where can people find you? And I'm also going to put the details below.
Yeah, I'm best found in Instagram, I think, where you also met.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to put that link below. So make sure you go and check him out. Well, thank you so much, Zubeir. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for your inspiring story. I admire you that you are so young and you have such an open mind, and it's beautiful to see this. It's truly beautiful. So thank you for being here and for inspiring all of us. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Please make sure that you check his details below and stay tuned for more on The Lighthouse coming soon.